Hey, this is Paul. I was going to make a video about the Mets because they acquired Louis Robert Jr. in a trade, trading Acuna and a college pitcher that they drafted, I think, this year. But then the Mets just acquired Freddie Peralta from the Milwaukee Brewers and Tobis Myers, excuse me, not McGuire, Tobis Myers for Brandon Sprout and Jet Williams. I don't mind that. Okay, I just didn't, because I heard earlier they were talking rumors about maybe they asked for Brewers asked for Jonah Tong, and I don't want Tong to get traded. And the Mets, thankfully, they turned that down, and I guess they came back and asked for Sprout, and so the Mets gave them Sprout. Okay, and so they get, and Freddie Peralta, he's an ace, and he has 1 year left on his deal, and obviously I think the Mets are going to extend him. Okay, and now also they got Tobias Myers, who's probably going to be either a long man in the bullpen. I don't know if he'll be an extra starter. I don't think so. Now, the Mets can also maybe get Framber from Houston, although I don't think they want to pay the amount. I don't know if the Mets going to try for that. Although I wouldn't be upset about that if they get another starter and maybe trade either Senga or Peterson, because Peterson, I think, has 1 year left on his deal, so that could be attractive, and he's left-handed. So they could maybe trade Peterson. So I don't know what he's going to do, but I'm super excited now that David Stern finally, it seems like he's getting off the snide and getting players now to fill out this lineup. And I still think they got to trade another infielder. They got way too many infielders. They traded Jet Williams, and again, I'm happy for him because I think Jet Williams is probably going to start him. He'll probably start maybe from Milwaukee eventually because I think he may. Excuse me, because I think he still has options. I think he may start in the minor leagues in Milwaukee. Maybe they might bring him up. But we know for sure that probably Brandon Sprout will probably get called up and start for Milwaukee because he's a cheap player and they got years of control for him. And I'm sad that he's going to go, but we got Freddie Peralta, so I'm not okay. I really didn't want them to trade Jonah Tong because I know a lot of teams have been asking for Jonah Tong because of his potential and stuff, and he's only 22 years old, and he was lights out in Double-A last year, and then they moved him up to Triple-A, and then I think they brought him up way too fast last year to try to make the playoffs, and so I think this year he's going to start obviously in the minor leagues, and he's going to work on his pitches, and I think Jonah Tong will probably be up in the summertime, probably after the All-Star break, depending on how he does it, and I think he's probably been working on it now, and he's probably work on it in Triple-A this coming season, because I think pitchers and catchers start next month. And I think Jonah Tong eventually is going to develop those other two pitches. And I think Jonah Tong will be up for the Mets for the playoff run the Mets going to go on, or, to try to get to the playoffs. And so I'm glad they didn't trade Jonah Tong. I was praying that they wouldn't trade him. But they got Freddie Peralta, who I'm really excited that we got. Now finally we got an ace on our staff, okay? And I still would love to get Terrence Skubal, although I know that may come at a high price depending on, because I know he's going through the arbitration thing with the Tigers, and the Tigers may decide to keep him just to see if they can make a run for it. They may decide to keep him, but if it's possible, I wouldn't mind getting Terrence Skubal if you could get him in a possible trade. I would not mind. Again, like I said, I really don't want. I'm glad they got Louis Robert Jr., although, like I said, I wasn't super excited about that because I know I kept bringing him up, and I know the last 2 years he's been subpar and he's been hurt. So this is a low-risk, kind of low-reward thing because it's only 1 year and $20 million, and he's going to be motivated because the team has a team option to pick him up if he has a good year, which I think they probably won't exercise because I think they probably want Carson Bench to probably eventually move to center field. So obviously, Louis Robert Jr. should be motivated to have a good year so he can get paid when he becomes a free agent in 2027. So I'm happy again because Louis Robert. There's one thing about him that you can't say Louis Robert Jr. He does play a great defensive center field. He's probably one of the top center fielders in baseball. So that shores up the defense up the middle. Okay. And I'm anxious to see all these players. Again, like I said, hopefully they keep Brett Brady. They don't trade him. I don't mind if they trade Mark Vientos, to be perfectly honest. Okay, although it looks like maybe they won't. But I would love them to keep Brett Beatty because Brett Beatty can play multiple positions. He can play third. He can play second. They said he's going to try to learn first. And I know he's played a little bit of outfield in the minor leagues. So I would love to keep him, Brett Beatty, as the kind of like a Jeff McNeil type, the super utility guy. So he gets lots of at bats when you want to give guys days off, and he can start sometimes, and he can switch off the DH role. I think with Polanco, although I think the way the Mets have it right now, Polanco's going to start first. Because I think he's been working on it and ever since he got traded, he's been working on trying. And he'll probably play winter. He'll probably play first base in spring training and stuff. But I think Brett Beatty is going to get some reps at that, and I think the Mets want to keep Brett Beatty. I really think they do. But like I said, if I could trade, if I could trade him to Mark Vientos, I'm saying I'm trying to think who the Tigers would want. They would want starting pitching. That's why I think you could give them Peterson, because he's a major league starter. He has 1 year under control. Although, like I said, I don't know if the Tigers are going to trade him. I really would like to get him, Tariq Skubal, but I don't know if the Tigers. I'm not positive about them willing to trade him because of his. Because they may want to go for it before the strike comes up or the lockout comes up. They may want to go for it, and then take. But then again, if you don't, you're gonna get nothing for him. So I'm worried that the Dodgers might sweep in there and to the Tigers and go, here's 4 or 5 top prospects. Give us Tariq Skubal. Yeah, which I think would be horrible for baseball to him to go to the Dodgers. They don't need him. Okay, my Mets need him. Okay, so but I still think they if they could trade either Senga or Peterson, I think you need to get two of those pitchers out of the lineup. Now you got Freddie Peralta, and if they sign Framber, the guy, the pitcher from Houston, I keep messing up his name, but because I would love to have two good, strong pitchers, and they, between Freddie Peralta and Framber, I think they're good. So I'm trying to think. Yeah, I just don't feel right. I don't think they're gonna. I have a feeling that Detroit, although I keep seeing people keep flashing things up saying that the Mets are still on Tariq Skubal. I think they probably wait. I don't see why you just don't ask if they're gonna do it. I know they're going through an arbitration process right now, I think, for Tariq Skubal, which I don't know why they even try to fight. I guess you have to, you have to fight it. But they're gonna. He's gonna lose. He's gonna win the case anyway. He's gonna get a big raise either way. But I would love to get Tariq Skubal. I'm trying to think what kind of a trade would entice the Tigers. Besides, like I said, you get major because I think they will want minor league talent plus major league talent if they trade him. And like I said, if they're going for it, if you can give them, like I said, David Peterson. I don't think they want Senga because I think Senga has got 2 years left on his deal, so they probably won't want him anyway. But David Peterson, I think they could want because he's lefty, okay, and he has 1 year left, and on his, so he would be extra motivated, and he's lefty. But you would have to give him, and I'd give him Mark Vientos if they would take him. I really would, and maybe 2 minor leaguers. Like I said, I don't want to give him Tong if I don't, and I don't want to give him Beatty if I don't have to. But they may ask for Beatty, okay, which is kind of frustrating, them to do that. But if that's the only thing that's holding up, I might reconsider that and trade Beatty and just have to keep Mark Vientos. Although, like I said, Mark Vientos has such limited, because he can't field to save his life. But maybe you could convince Detroit to take him, and he can always DH. Or play first base rather than bet Beatty because like I said, the Mets have a lot of players on 1 or 2, 2-3 year deals, and they could opt out, and Bo Bichette may opt out after the first year, and then if you kept Brett Beatty, then you can slide him back to third. That's why I don't want to trade Beatty if I don't have to. Okay, but I think Tariq Skubal is the only person I would trade him for. if he would be part of that pack. If that would be the hold up of the deal, I would bite my fingers and go ahead and say goodbye, Brett, and just I have to keep Mark Vientos in that case, and just so he can be the right-handed DH, and you can put Polanco at first. I would hate to do that, but I would for Tariq Skubal. Okay. Now. So, it's rough, okay? But it's tough being a Met fan, but hey, we got who we got, so I'm happy. This offseason has slightly improved. I still think they made a mistake by not re-signing Pete, because Pete was a loyal Met, and he wasn't asking for that. He wasn't asking for that much. And okay, and you're gonna give Tucker all that money. You could have gave Pete that money, and I'm gonna miss the polar bear. I really am. Okay, he was just an all-around great player for my Mets and stuff, and I love the polar bear. And when he comes back to the city, hopefully the Baltimore comes to Citi Field, so I can give him a standing ovation when he comes back. I would love to be at that game when he comes back and give him a standing ovation, because he was a true Met, and I'm gonna miss him. Anyway, but I'm happy we got Peralta, and like I said, Louis Robert Jr. I wasn't that excited about, because we've been hearing about it all last season, and frankly I got sick of it. Okay, and we know it was just a money dump because the White Sox they're not spending any money, so I know that was a salary dump. And the Mets, like I said, it's a high risk, it's a low risk, high reward type of situation with Louis Robert Jr. So he'll give you great defense, and hopefully he'll refine that stroke and be in New York with around a playoff and around great other players. Maybe he'll have a bounce back year, which we can only fingers crossed hope happens. And now we got Peralta and Tobias Myers. I am really, really happy. Okay. Like I said, I would still like to get Framber, and I know the Mets also signed a reliever from it was a former Dodger, former Angel. They signed a left-handed, he's right-handed pitcher. I think he's 38 years old, going to turn 39, but it's another body for the bullpen. Okay, and he's pitching with a good low ERA, so I'm happy for them. Luis Rivera, I think that's his name. Okay, so I'm happy overall. We got Peralta, we got our ace. Now I just really, really hope we either get Framber or either trade for Peralta. Okay, I'm afraid for Tariq Skubal. Okay, which again I would love. Like I said, I pray that he doesn't go to the Dodgers. I would stop watching baseball if Tariq Skubal gets traded to the Dodgers, because that would be just so unfair, okay, to watch. But anyway, I'm glad we got that, and Stearns kind of made up for the crap he did. He disassembled this core, which is, he had to do it. And okay, like I said, I still have a special place in my heart for Pete, because Pete was the man, the polar bear. I always loved watching him hit when I go Citi Field and see him play. I always loved the polar bear. And like I said, when he comes back with Baltimore, hopefully he comes back for Baltimore during the season. I'm sure the schedules have done that. And I would definitely give him a standing ovation when he comes up, because he deserves it. He was a true Met. Anyway, again, like I said, I'm glad we got Peralta. Now we got a 6-man rotation. Like I said, I still think they should try to trade Senga or Peterson, and maybe get, like I said, maybe save them for the Tariq Skubal trade. Maybe they'll take not Milwaukee. Maybe Detroit, excuse me, will take those two. That's right. You give them 2 pitchers for Tariq Skubal, and you give them like 2 or 3 minor leaguers. Excuse me. I give Mauricio. I give him Vientos. And I'd give it, like I said, I'd give him Peterson and Kodai Senga, but you probably have to eat some of the Kodai Senga money for them to take it. But that's two starting pitchers for them, for Tariq Skubal, plus a position play, Mauricio, who if you don't like him, they can put him back down in the minor leagues, okay? Because he has an option, and maybe again, like I said, one of the minor league players. Maybe you can give him see, at least this way you give them major league talent and minor league talent, and I think you may be able to pull it off, okay? But I don't want to trade Jonah Tong either. Jonah Tong I want to keep, because I think he has that potential to either be a frontline starter, or once he develops those pitches, even a bullpen, maybe a future closer. I can see that, Okay, so anyway, let me know what you think of these two amazing things that the Mets did. They acquired Louis Robert Jr. and Freddie Peralta. And Tobias Myers is, he was kind of a throw-in, I think. Okay, but he's young and he's under control too. I think he's 26. So Tobias Myers is under control. So that's again another body for the Mets. We got our ace, and I'm hoping again that we get another pitcher, and maybe maybe a bat. A bat for the, because I think the Met bench is kind of weak. So if we can get a veteran to sit on our bench, to be a bench player, pinch hitter / pinch hitter, I could take that. If they can do that, I would be perfectly satisfied and give David Stearns, I'd give him a B+ for this off season. This season's pretty awesome. Okay, he's not getting an A from me because he didn't even offer Pete a contract to me, which I think is blasphemous. But that's my personal opinion. Anyway, let me know what you think. Feel free to leave comments down below. In the description box are links to my Facebook, my Twitter, my Instagram. Also have a link to my main channel, Trepacer, in the description box as well. Also have a link down below to my merchandise store. I sell hats, t-shirts, mugs, sweatshirts, hoodies, water bottles, teddy bears for men, women, unisex. I have the two logo designs, the spherical circles, and I also have the Trepacer logo. Those are the two designs. Follow a link. It'll take you to my merchandise store. Also, please give this video a thumbs up. It helps the channel, and I truly appreciate it. Also, hit the subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when I upload new content to this channel. And this is Paul saying so long. Take care.